XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
Hi there. Thanks very much for downloading the Elis James and John Robbins podcast. We have just finished the show and I think it went pretty well. We enjoyed it. It's quite funny, but in that way, when you have that slight mania from tiredness, I think that was sort of the vibe of the show, and not because we're tired in any sort of rock and roll sense, but it's all basic logistical problems we had the night before, and which we'll talk about in the show. What did we have on there, El?
We did textual healing. We were chatting about a young man who didn't know what to do for his birthday.
Aww.
And Sacred Cows, where we argued the toss of a Blur. I'm a huge fan. Robbins?
Not.
It is not.
Well, that's the tiredness kicking in.
But more sadly, this week I really discovered how uncool I am. And the fact that I used the word uncool to describe being uncool is actually very uncool. So we chatted about slang that young people use, which made me feel left out of conversations because I couldn't follow what anyone meant.
So, yeah, do tune into the live show every Sunday from 10 till 1, and we will see you at the other end of the podcast.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
That was the thing's gone off my screen, Dave. That was Little Submarines by the Black Keys, and this is cracking radio. This is XFM. I'm John Robbins, and alongside me is the most decorated light entertainer from the valleys. It's Mr. Elis James.
Hello. I hope this opening link makes the podcast. Oh, that was slick.
Well, my headphones are making a bizarre sound, so I am going to take them off, and there, I'm now fully on board because it sounds weird in my head, and I got scared. I thought it might be a nightmare, and now it's rapidly turning into one. They're even worse today. So let's all take off our headphones and go can-free for today's show. You're listening to the Elis James and John Robbins show on XFM. Elis, how has your week been?
Very good. Can I say that my headphones also sound strange, but I've coped with it by silence, which is a radio crime. But I thought I'd just let John flounder whilst I sit confused in the corner. This is something we should have done at 5 to 10.
Yeah.
But we live by the seat of our pants.
And I had a minor panic attack when the sound came into my ears and the little thing had gone off the screen. Anyway, listeners, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday morning. What have you had a good week, El?
What a tremendous week.
And what have you been up to?
I'm in a sitcom that I can't mention because I haven't done the press release yet. So I've been
Is it like banned for legal reasons?
It's not legal reasons, but if I talked about it, because they haven't decided on a title, if I mentioned it, I'd get told off by the producer.
Can I mention it?
As long as you don't describe it, yes.
Oh, okay.
You can be very vague.
It's called
No.
MC Daffyd, and it's a story of a Welsh rapper's rise to fame from the industrial west of Wales in the 70s. He predates rap, but he invents it as a means of getting off the street. And it ends with him rapping alongside a male voice choir and like Brastoff.
Yeah, that's with that. Oh, sorry, I thought that was my own idea, but I've realised it's just a film I've seen.
Do you want to ask me how?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because I've got a story we prepared that I'm meant to be telling about 2 minutes ago.
Sorry, how's your week been, John?
Well, you'd never guess what happened to me, Elis. I have had an absolute nightmare, and I am functioning on 2.45 hours sleep. I was in Bristol last night, and I was driving on to the M32, one of Britain's shortest motorways, in order to get to my gig, when all the lights on my car failed. And so I pulled into the hard shoulder and was fiddling around, and ended up driving to the gig with the floodlights on, which is very dangerous and against the highway code. And so I pre-arranged for the RAC to come out after I'd finished my gig. Long, horrific story short, they booked a contractor who was an hour late. He then turned up after I'd phoned them 3 or 4 times to find out where he was. He got out of his car looking like a sort of if Fred West had not been found guilty of his crimes and had taken up a job as a recovery man in the southwest of England, which, given his proclivities, would have suited him down to the ground. He said, "All right there, mate, here is something about your bulbs." I said, "Yeah, all my bulbs are gone, I just need them replaced." And he went, "Funny thing is, I ain't got any bulbs."
Oh, no.
And I was very angry.
Did you almost do an Alan Pardew and push him away with your face?
Yeah, I nearly tried to push him away with my face.
Right.
And in my head I'm thinking, well, when I make the complaint about you to the RAC, I will be saying, why would you give a job to a man who doesn't have any bulbs if the one thing you need for this job is bulbs? He then walked up to my car, made a fist with his left hand.
Oh, my goodness me.
Tapped my headlights, and they came on. And my anger turned immediately to just self-loathing. And he goes, "There you go, mate." And I was with my friend Dave, who is a manly man, and never have I felt so emasculated.
Oh, my God.
It meant that I didn't leave Bristol till 1:45. And I was sat there, when I was waiting for him, I was thinking, I need to be up in 6 hours, and I'm not even in the right city yet.
Oh.
It's bad enough when you're in bed thinking, I need to be up in 6 hours. So I got back into London, southeast London, which I live in, at 4:45.
Oh. But I bet you didn't put your foot down because you're so weird about fuel economy.
That's a very interesting point. I did cross my mind. I compromised and sort of levelled off about 73 miles an hour. So I was packing about 56 miles to the gallon on the way home, whereas usually I would expect to see about 63, 64.
So how fast would you be doing usually?
Sort of 61, 62.
Oh, you are so uncool. It's so uncool.
So, I mean, also, this is the second time a motorway recovery man has made me feel completely incompetent, because once my brakes fused, they sort of seized because I hadn't driven the car for a couple of weeks. And I called the RAC, he was outside my house in Bristol at the time, and you couldn't have made a sort of scene any less like what you expect the RAC to do. So he got out, looked at it, I said, "Oh, the brakes are seized." He went back into his van, got a hammer, hit the wheel with a hammer, and it was fine. So I've been emasculated twice by the RAC.
In fairness to you, though, no one teaches you to punch your headlamps with a fist when they've stopped working.
Well, also, it's the one thing you try. Just try hitting stuff. That's twice. That would have solved my breakdown.
There's also like the sort of Crocodile Dundee approach to getting your car to work, just by hitting it in the right place. It's like something he'd do to a hippo to sort of placate it.
FM, Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
This is John Robbins, and alongside me earlier, I described Mr. Elis James as the most decorated light entertainer from the valleys. He is the pride of Port Talbot, because, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that Mr. E. James has been nominated for the most prized award in all of comedy. It is the Chortle Award nomination for Best Club Comic.
Thank you. Dave is clapping and he doesn't know what he's clapping about.
It's the award everyone wants to win. I should probably explain to the listeners what the Chortle Awards are. Chortle is a website which has come to dominate the comedy industry, and every year it releases its own awards based on a criteria that is not available to the public. There are nominations in several categories: Best Newcomer, Best Show, Best DVD, but the real prize, the jewel in the crown, is the recently added Best Club Comic category. It was set up to honour sort of men in their 50s who don't understand the bright young things of comedy, don't do Edinburgh, they don't want to go up there and lose all that money when they can do jonglers every weekend. And Elis has finally found his way into that hall of reverence. Elis, What does it feel like to be, I think, leading the pack is fair to say, for the Chortle Best Club Comic Award?
Thank you. Like I said, just to sort of reiterate the importance of Chortle, it is the industry Bible, and it's a sacred text for comedians, I think.
It's the one review everyone wants to get a good one in Edinburgh because they know that all of their friends will read it.
And I'm very pleased. I cannot ignore John's jealousy.
Well, I have not been nominated for a Chortle Award ever. I'm attempting to get the award for most consecutive years without a nomination, running at 9 years, and it's a bit like, I feel a bit like I've come last in a competition I didn't enter.
Oh, but you were captain of your primary school football B team, which had a lot of girls in it.
That's correct, and I really was a trailblazer in equal opportunities in the Castle School B team. I make no bones about it. I was a goalkeeper led from the back.
I was going to say, captaining from the back, they must have, they must have put a lot of faith in you, bearing in mind that you were one of only 4 members of the team with a penis.
Well, the coach took pity on me, similarly to when I was in my Cubs football team, and I turned up on Saturday for the game, and all of the rest of the Cubs started chanting "Sub Robbins, Sub Robbins," and he turned to them, bless him, and said, "Right, Robbins is going to be centre forward today." Now, I had never played there. I had no idea how to kick a ball, really. But I love the fact that they were mean. They were chanting Sub Robbins, and he went, "Right, he's going to play up front."
And what happened? You scored a hat-trick?
No, we absolutely decimated. But the moral victory, I think he took me off after about 20 minutes. He gave me the hairdryer treatment.
Age 10.
Yeah.
And that is the sort of story that makes you such... an unnominatable comedian. That's not a word. That's the sort of mastery of the English language that makes me unnominatable. Again, I've used that word that doesn't exist twice now in about 4 sentences.
The award nomination for Best Wordsmith goes to...
With his unique take on the English language, conjuring words that probably should exist but definitely don't. It's Elis!
So I would encourage listeners to go to the Chortle website, vote for Elis, and there is an extra little sort of section on the voting form where you can write down any notes or thoughts. I mean, I'm not saying our listeners should start a campaign of sort of intimidation against the website for failing to nominate Mr. John Robbins, but if they want to do it, who's to stop them? Yeah. You can write to your MPs. It's a free... We live in a democracy, guys. Let's take advantage of that for the first time.
Well, I think we should take this to the House of Lords.
And also, we're going to take this to you, the listeners. We want you to text in on 83936 on what is the most meaningless, pointless award you have ever been nominated for.
Right. I'm just going to jump in here. It's not a meaningless award. But thank you for being so wry, and I'm sure that listeners appreciate how wry you can be.
If you've ever been nominated for a similar award to the Chortle Best Club Comic Award, maybe Best Cup of Tea by your nan, or best kept footwell of an Astra by your local Vauxhall dealer, then please text in on 83936 or tweet at XFM.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
XFM.
On XFM.
We are discussing on XFM this morning meaningless awards.
Why are we discussing that, Al?
Because I'm very humble and I don't like to talk about it, but I've been nominated for Best Club Comic in the Universe by the Chortle website, which is a comedy website that's very, 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 very prestigious.
And what was the last club gig you did?
Well, I have other things on my plate, which means it's been
classic Chortle.
It's been a while.
The year that Sean Welsh won Best Compare, he'd compared 3 times that year.
Yeah, I remember Rod Gilbert won Best Headliner, and he was, I haven't done a club gig for 2 years. but let's not detract from the website or from the fact that what I've done is an immense achievement, I think. John is now looking at me and shaking his head. But anyway, We are discussing meaningless awards. We've got a couple of great texts in. Do feel free to text us in on 83936 or tweet us at XFM. I've got this belter. I once worked at a hotel which had recently opened, and at the end of the year, the manager clearly wanted everyone to have an award. No lie. Someone won most likely to have crisps in their desk drawer.
That sounds like one of those awards that you get on The American Office that Michael gave out, where everyone gets an award. So, like, one of them they go for just sort of ridiculous things. They're called the Scotties, the Scots, something like that. I can't remember. The Dundies. If you've seen The American Office, which I would recommend.
Yes, it's very good. But I like it when primary schools do Most Helpful Child of the Year award, which, let's face it, goes to the thick kid.
Did you get that award?
No, I absolutely didn't.
You clearly did from your reaction.
And I could name who got it, but I won't because of the joke I just made. And if he's listening, it would sadden him.
So it's a he?
In our 30s. It was a he.
It's Elis James's year at school. We know what school Elis goes into because it's on his Wikipedia page, which I don't have.
It was primary school, which is not listed on my Wikipedia page. I didn't write my Wikipedia page, and I'd like to know who did.
If you wrote Elis James's Wikipedia page, please text in 83936, and if you are available to write mine, then that would be much appreciated. When I was at school, we had a commendation system whereby if you did well in class, you get a commendation. You get 10 commendations, got you like a big commendation. 3 of those big commendations got you a head of year commendation. 3 head of year commendations got you a headmaster's commendation. I, in a school of 1,200 students, have the record for the most commendations ever received.
You're listening to XFM.
XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
Right, it's time for one of our regular features now. Listeners to the show will recognise this, but it's time for Sacred Cows. Those bands that are always on the front cover of Mojo and Uncut and Q Magazine, for instance, and you don't think that they're that good now.
And I believe the kind of the theme tune to this feature gets slightly less worse every week. And it's been improved for the 3rd time. Yeah. So we're essentially polishing a stab. So this is the stab for Sacred Cow.
XFM's Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow. Sacred Cow.
I mean, you've taken a sort of Rick Wakeman approach to the production of that. So much reverb, Dave. Yeah. Dave. I've got your name wrong. Dave.
Does you've also taken out the splat, which I think gives it an air of quality.
Well, the splat is being saved for if the band in question today is assigned to the abattoir. I will then play the splat. The splat's ready to go, chaps. Don't worry.
You're one step ahead. I mean, I thought I was struggling on 2 hours 45 minutes sleep tonight, thanks to the RAC, but you have nailed it, Dave.
Thanks.
So this week...
Dave, will you be my best friend?
Yes.
Rodri's going to be gutted. So this week, the band that we are going to argue over is Men of the Street. If that street is in Hoxton, it's Blur.
Girls who are boys, who like boys, who do girls, who do boys like their girls, who do girls like their boys.
If you fancy paying £10 for 50 grams of cheese, this is your favourite band. They are the aristocracy's answer to the Jam? I don't know, I guessed that. It's Blur with their sort of probably pork pie hats and a cravat wistfully tied around the neck as they stroll through Shoreditch.
I never had you down as a class warrior, John.
I am, but I come from it from the middle class, so I am a middle class warrior. So, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, does that work?
It means that
more subscriptions to The Observer.
I want better rates for first-time buyers. but I want an end to hereditary peers. Which thankfully happened due to Tony Benn.
Oh God! If only there was a political party for people like you.
Yeah, it would be increased savings rates, even when interest rates are low.
You're listening to
So Blur. Now I dislike Blur for one reason alone, and that is that when I was sort of 18, I was a massive Mogwai fan, and Mogwai had printed up T-shirts at Tea in the Park where both they and Blur were headlining, which I can't actually repeat what the T-shirt said, but it said Blur : which is the sort of abbreviation, punctuation, not a colon. Blur : RS asterisk asterisk asterisk.
It's a Scottish word for bad.
Yeah, a Scottish word for bad. And I grabbed onto that. I bought that T-shirt. I used to wear it to school, my Blur RS asterisk asterisk. I still have that T-shirt, and I wore it to an indie night that I went to on my 30th birthday to try and recapture my youth, and I left when I realised my T-shirt was older than anyone there. So that's frankly my reason for disliking Blur. I also think they're just in the great Oasis Blur debate. I was always a pulp man through and through. So to this day, I don't really care for either Blur or Oasis. But at least I find there's a lot more passion in Oasis and their fan base. I find Blur slightly effete, and I also think that they completely ripped off Spiritualized in their what was that song? The really sort of Tender, yeah, that was an absolute rip-off of Spiritualized.
When you said that you didn't really care for Oasis, you should have seen the look on Mancunian producer Dave's face. He looked pained. It was a grimace, and then there was a couple of seconds we thought, that's fine. He's my presenter, and this is my job. Yeah. And then the grimace came back, and he thought, but I'm going to batter him after the show. I absolutely can't believe he just said that. I was a huge fan of Blur, and I think that Damon Albarn and Graham Coxon are geniuses. I think Coxon is a fantastic guitarist. He's also very well dressed. I saw him on Oxford Street once. Oh, what a choice of T-shirt. And lovely shoes. But anyway, let's get back to the music. It's a music station. Every album's different. I think he's Damon Albarn in particular is that sort of chameleonic David Bowie sort of character, in that he's adopted loads of different musical genres. He can do them all. He's brilliant. I saw them live on their comeback gig at Hyde Park in 2009. They were fantastic. I saw them when they were in their pomp in the 90s, and they were absolutely amazing. They looked great. They had that classic British band gang mentality thing as well that all great British bands have. I can listen to any of their albums. I still do. They're superb. John, you're wrong.
I've got a couple of quotes from Stuart Braithwaite, who's the sort of the front man of Mogwai, and this is from that Tea in the Park when they printed up the T-shirts. He said, "We decided to proclaim our dislike of one of the weakest bands on the planet by putting out these shirts. We sold out in the day, and Super Furry Animals and Pavement have put in an order for more. The thing about the shirt is it's like a dictionary definition. Blur, R-S asterisks. It's factual, and if there's any legal problems about it, I'll go to court as someone who has studied music so I can prove that they are S asterisks."
I remember that quote, and he later backed up that quote by saying, "I've got an HND in guitar studies," which made me love him even more. An HND in... What is lesson 1 when you're doing an HND in guitar studies? Right, guys, let's chat about... Yeah, you guessed it, distortion.
XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
We're talking about sacred cows. This is the regular feature where we discuss which of those bands you think are overrated and don't warrant their place on those sort of all-time great lists. And what we do is we ask for your feedback, and then we decide whether the band in question make it to the paddock of sacred cows, which is behind me. And at the minute, it's just the poor Sex Pistols in there, basking in their glory, and or whether they get consigned to the abattoir, where they will be minced and they will have their remaining meat mechanically reclaimed for production in hot dogs. That's a true fact. A hot dog is chicken. It is mechanically reclaimed chicken in most hot dogs. Another fact later on. So we've been discussing this time Blur, sort of North London ne'er-do-wells.
You keep getting this wrong. They were all state educated at Stanwell Comprehensive in Essex. They're not from North London. David Albin lives in West London. They're from Colchester. Robbins, you can see the sweat dripping down his cheeks.
Well, it's the effect they give off.
Well,
there's a cracking quote on the. It's a comment to that article about Stuart Braithwaite from Mogwai said this. This guy said, hang on, I've got to find it. This is bad radio. Here he goes. They're a British band, being British, talking about British things, the Americanisation of British culture, and how the local Dog and Duck is now a trendy bar serving Budweiser, and how Dave's greasy fish and chip shop is now a KFC, and saying all these things to British simpletons that love Lambrettas and the Union Jack. I just don't think they got any edge to them.
oh, what are you on about?
Like, Oasis have got edge. They've got attitude.
You should read 3,642 Days, the Blur biography by Stuart McConey, which is a cracking read. Vin, who's in the studio, he's nodding along.
I mean, as with last week when you suggested I read Swansea City, A History, I'm afraid the answer is going to be negative from me.
Well, I'm still reading from that.
So
I can't believe you're not going to read that.
we'll read two quick texts on either side, both from sort of different ends of the linguistic spectrum. We'll start off with this is a cracking argument. Blur are one of the best band ever. I have loved them since I was 1 year old.
That's cool. Imagine a 1 year old. You're not even a toddler at one. Having a favourite band, even if it was any band.
Well, judging from the spelling, they are now 2 years old. Elis, do you want to read the one that's just slightly more poetic?
I'll read this one. I cannot stand Oasis, and I'm from Greater Manchester, which I think is, this is my own opinion, I think that's a crime. I loved Blur as a teenager, but my ardour for them has cooled with time. So we've had I mean, I didn't realise that Alan Bennett listens to the show. That's from his house in Camden. That's from Robin Isn't Cool, and I think, Robin, you need to have a big think. If you're from Greater Manchester, what are you doing, mate?
So now we're gonna switch to the Oasis side of the debate to really back up my anti-Blur army, because this next track is Everybody's on the Run by Noel Gallagher's High F. That's all I can read.
High flying birds, you idiot.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
So that was Everybody's on the Run by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Got it right. Third time lucky then. I have to say the debate has been heated here because in the
Dave just shouted at John.
the texts and tweets, it's 2-2 for and against Blur, and because of the Sex Pistols getting into the paddock 2 weeks ago, I'm quite, and we went by the text then, I'm quite ardent that we stick to the text. Oh, we've had loads just come in.
Yeah.
Blur are gash, and Ellis's Club Comic nomination is an absolute scandal. That is a text from me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. Right, okay. Oh, my goodness.
But I do think Blur are overrated. The songs revived way too much hype, in my opinion. I'm not going to comment on the spelling of that due to my last mix-up. I've just nearly ran out a rude one then, that someone doesn't like me. Overrated, they ripped off the Kinks. Then when the Great Escape failed spectacularly, they ripped off Pavement.
Failed spectacularly.
So it's 3-3 now. Well, actually, by the texts, I think it's slightly more anti-Blur, but I think I am about to get roundly trounced in Sacred Cows, because the force and knowledge of producer Dave and Elis.
Well, all I'm saying is that I've been very reasonable, I think, and Dave just shouted at John. So it's all you did shout at him, and your face changed, and you looked very angry, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be part of a scandal. This is hopefully going to make the Metro.
So, Dave, shall we have the sacred cow? Sting before we go to the.
Of course.
XFM's Sacred Cow. Sacred
Cow, 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 cow. She's still going. I reckon she's gone insane, and she's just trapped in one of those echo chambers, recording breathy links, and you have to sort of push a bit of paper under the door with what you want, along with some food. Poor thing. So, Dave. Oh, we've just had one text in for Blur, always for Blur. I think that seals it. Dave, what's the decision?
Terrific arguments for and against again, chaps. I think there was some interesting text that came through as well, but I think Blur have to be consigned to the paddock of the Sacred Cow this morning, I'm afraid, because they're a decent band.
They're more than a decent band, Dave. Don't shout at me. I'll say whatever you want me to say, Dave.
Okay, we'll chat off air, Elis, but yes, they're in the paddock of the Sacred Cow.
Mogwai are tremendous. Oh, am I listening to this, am I?
Yes.
Good.
It's not a British Gas advert. It's just
Exactly.
FM. Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
That was the absolutely wonderful Blur with Universal, one of my favourite songs. Robbins is now reading a book. I'm so upset.
Not 694 years of Blur by whoever you
Not
recommended.
694 years of Blur, though that would be excellent. Coming up in the show is our feature Textual Healing. If you have a problem that you'd like John and I to solve, please text in on 83936 or tweet us at XFM.
Should we recap some of the past things? We had last week we had Dougie, who had a problem with his flatmates not chipping in for toilet roll, and we also had a chap who there's quite a delicate issue. He was coming out of a relationship. He'd just come out of a big relationship and had sort of lots of new dates lined up and wanted to make most use of them, but then met someone he really thought was going to be the one, so didn't know whether to commit to her or sow his oats.
Yeah, so we're not solving world peace.
No.
Neither John or I are qualified to do that. If we could, I'd do it.
If you have a sort of a problem of the heart, or what they might call these days a first world problem, do text in on 83936 or tweet at XFM, and me and Elis will take your problem in hand. Won't we, Al?
Yeah. I just never didn't expect you to say
not
that.
Like a sort of a miscreant child. Won't take it in hand. It will make it wait outside the coffee shop until it's realised what it's done, and it will be sad. That just
I hope you
to
never have children. This is
what a thing to say.
Sorry, that's not a nice thing to say.
You won't be their godfather.
It's falling apart here. I hope that John has happy, healthy children, and that is great in his relationship, which he is happy in.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
XFM.
On XFM.
You're listening to XFM with Elis James, Chortle Award nominee, and John Robbins, empty trophy cabinet. So now, coming up, we've got a regular feature, Textual Healing.
When I get that feeling, I want
Textual.
Textual.
I think somewhere in the XFM archives are the sessions of that recording for that sting there, for that little jingle. Maybe they'll be released in 20 years' time
Like
on
a remastered version, like
anniversary
albums.
Yeah, I actually bought the Marvin Gaye What's Going On 20th anniversary double edition. Didn't go for it. So, in this week's Textual Healing, we're asking you to text and tweet in with your problems, and we have a caller now on the line. It's Leslie, but a man, which if he was on the front row of a comedy club, he'd be in trouble now, but as he's called in, we're going to be very kind. Leslie, should we call you Leslie or Les?
Les is good.
Les, I would go for Les in that situation. What is your problem that you want me and Elis to solve, Les?
Well, it's my birthday next weekend, and I was just wondering if you guys had any tips for... I've sort of drawn a blank on ideas.
Oh, how old are you going to be, Les?
I'm going to be 20... Well, I'm going to be 23, which is a bit... Do you even celebrate that birthday as well?
Oh, if I was 23 next week, I would go absolutely hog wild. I would give anything. What was I doing on my 23rd birthday? That would have been 2005. It was a low point. I was very depressed. I just finished university, Les, and I was working at a bookshop in Bristol. Hey, it would have been a month after my first ever stand-up comedy gig.
I got, on my 23rd birthday, I went for Pizza Express, which was a mistake, and then I got chucked out of a nightclub for wearing trainers, and I went home.
Pizza Express is never a mistake.
No, not Pizza Express, Pizza Hut.
Oh, that's a terrible mistake.
It was all right.
What sort of stuff are you into, and how many friends do you have?
How many friends? Well, more than 10, I guess. I'm expecting
more than 10 friends, Les?
Yeah. I want a big, like a big blowout, a big...
You want a big blowout, and you've got more than 10 friends.
Yeah.
I remember you could hire out a McDonald's. They used to make ice cream cakes.
That feels like a step down from Pizza Hut, though, McDonald's.
Do you want it to be food related?
I'm open to that. Yeah, sure.
Are you one of those people that's like sort of Elle? You know those sort of people who go to visit retro houses. People who dress like it's the 50s, even though it clearly isn't.
No. Those people also have smartphones, which I think is a double standard.
Yeah, at least have the decency, if you're going to dress like it's the 50s, to have a sort of Batman next to you with a wind-up phone on his back, like in the war.
Made of Bakelite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I think, to be honest, you're 23, your recovery powers are going to be incredible at that age. And I think you should go out, you should live it large. You should be drinking from midday. You should be, you should probably eat quite badly. You should go to have you got a girlfriend?
I haven't, no.
Well, I think
you should get one.
Put it down.
That you could hire one for the day. And that would be a nice break from sort of usual work, would be to accompany you to a Wagamama's and then go to perhaps a bowling alley. What about the Bloomsbury Bowl or something? Bowl like it's the 60s. Basically, we're telling you to travel back in time. What about a gig? Do you like any bands?
I like the idea of the bowl. The bowling sounds like a good... sounds a bit different, doesn't it?
Okay, well then... Problem is
So you're
solved.
saying hire an escort and go bowling?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Make sure she's got big fingers, because sometimes you have problems with the balls. So she can use the heavier balls. Because if you're going anywhere above an 8, it's very difficult for women to play, or hire woman with small hands, big hands.
This will all be available on the website.
Stay. Well, this is probably some of the worst advice we've ever given. Hire an escort and go bowling for your 23rd birthday. Sounds very bleak.
XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
That was the Strokes with their song about getting 5 a day, Juice Box. It's now time for another one of our fantastic regular features, Winner Plays On. Both John and I, we both have our specialist subjects. John's obviously is Queen.
Well, the thing with Winner Plays On is that if you win, you get to keep your specialist subject for the next week, whereas if you lose, if you are roundly trounced, as Elis James was last week, then you have to pick a new subject. So last week, if you remember, Queen beat Swansea City Football Club 3-2. And this week, so Elis has had to pick a new topic. Elis, what have you gone for?
I've gone for the Welsh psychedelic folk band Gorky Zygotic Monkey, who are my favourite group of all time.
And I'm sticking with Messrs Taylor, May, Deacon and Mercury. And the winner gets to play one of their favourite tracks. Elis, what track are you going for this week?
Do you remember the first time by Pulp?
Oh, do you remember the first time that you picked that as your track and then didn't get to play it because I won?
yeah. Last week when I got Trans 3-2, well done.
So
who's been nominated for Best Club Comic in the Galaxy on the John? Me. It is a public vote. Please do vote. I don't care who else.
Oh, right, that's enough.
Yeah.
Or we'll have Ofcom on our backs. And my track is the track I refer to my girlfriend as that modern song I like, which is somebody that I used to know by Gautier. So we're going to flip a coin to see who goes first. It's 5 questions on each of our specialist topics. Elis, loser calls the coin. What is it?
Tales for Wales, please.
Tales for Wales. It's heads for Cool Dude. So, Elis, I'm going to elect that you go first.
Righto.
Okay, so
5 questions.
5 questions.
Welsh psychedelic folk band, Gorky's Zygotic Monkey. My favourite group of all time, a band I saw live around 40 times.
Wow.
Elis used to organise coach trips to see Gorky's Zygotic Monkey when he was at school.
Yes, I did.
And I can't help but imagine Elis shepherding kind of cool students onto the bus, going, right, everybody, get on the bus.
Come on, we need to be there nice and early. If the band is sound checking at 6, that's something I'd like to see.
Geraint, is that woodpecker cider I smell on your breath?
It's like you were there, and also some of the rougher kids wouldn't pay me. Thus, I was subsidising those coach trips to see the Gorkies, and I didn't mind because I loved them that much.
Angharad, you've dropped blackjacks all over the floor. Do you think Mr. Thomas will drive the bus to take us to see Gorkies if you're dropping sweet wrappers all over the floor?
What I did, because I didn't want to be a sort of stick in the mud, I wouldn't tell anyone off, but I would clean the bus up at the end. So I used to take a dustpan and brush. The sweet wrappers, that was my responsibility. As long as everyone got to the gig, I was happy. That was fine.
So let's see how well that furnished Elis with the knowledge required. So 5 questions on Gorky's Zygotic Monkey, starting now. What was the name of Gorky's Zygotic Monkey's first cassette?
Allumette?
Correct. Sean and Stefan left to form which Welsh rap group?
Oh, Tystion.
Correct. According to the sleeve notes to Tate, which album did Gorky cite as the best of all time?
Oh. My ex-girlfriend has my copy of Tate, which is something I've never got over, and it's now been deleted.
I'm afraid.
I don't know. Pass.
Gorky's have the claim to fame of having 8 top 75 singles, but no top 40 singles. What was their highest charting song?
Patchy Song got to number 41, and it was Radio 1 Breakfast Show Single of the Week in 1997.
Correct.
That's actually true.
Complete the lyric. Or did Hinui Milian?
That's in Welsh, but your pronunciation is so bad, I can't help you there. I'll need to see it written down.
Hinui Milian? Oh,
that is
so
a
tragic.
very unfair question to ask.
Okay,
you should have.
I will let you see it written down.
Okay,
that's fair enough, isn't it?
Or dydd hwnna'n mlaen from that day on. Oh, that's a bit vague, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
So the complete lyric is Sut wedod anabod mebwyd na twe elnwys Uncle Harry. I love seeing Welsh written down because it's like Chyn chwenthan de Berera Sainsbury's Comenathiga Gwigoga Dana Morrison's
Fiberglass.
So that was 3 out of 5. I was very impressed with your knowledge, especially that you knew that Patio Song got to number 41.
Yeah, Let's Get Together on Our Minds got to number 43. But let's not dwell on that. I'm absolutely fine that they never got into the top 40. They did Jules Holland, but they never did Top of the Pops. But, you know.
Okay.
That's cool.
Let's now move on to a band
we all know how much
I think
you like.
troubled the top 40 for quite a few years.
Right, John, we all know how much you love Queen, because you won't stop going on about it. Your 5 questions. You ready with the sting, Dave?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. What were John Deacon's A-level results?
Oh, he studied electronics. I would say 2 A's and a B.
You got 3 A's.
Good girl.
What was Freddie Mercury's final live performance with Queen? Where was it?
Nebworth.
Correct. After performing controversial shows at Swansea City in 1984, to what did Queen donate some of their royalties? So chuffed with this question.
The Red Cross.
No. It was the School for the Deaf and Blind. Name Taylor's song, Roger Taylor's song on the Queen album News of the World.
What, his only song?
Yeah, his only song. He took the rest of 1977 off, seemingly.
Sheer Heart Attack.
No. It's a Fight from the Inside. Complete this lyric, but oh, give me a good guitar and you can say my hair's a disgrace.
Oh, just buy me an old car. I'll make the speed of light out of this place.
Yes, Tenement Funster from 1975. Dave, I wasn't keeping score.
I was 2 out of 5.
Ow! Answer me this!
Oh, come on. John Deacon's A-level
got
results.
3 A's, mate.
Are you high?
he got 3 A's and he got 8 A's at O-level. He's a very clever guy. They're quite a clever band.
They're the only rock band to all have degrees.
That can't be true.
Well, not since. Oh, that is John Deacon's A-level results.
I know the Gorkies' A-level results.
No, you don't. Well, that's because you went to school with them.
Yes.
That's mental.
Well, maybe you should have tried going to school with Freddie Mercury in the
Fight
60s.
from the inside as well.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Kill myself.
XFM. Elis James and John Robbins on XFM podcast.
That was the fantastic Pulp with Do You Remember the First Time? My glorious choice. I got to win Winner Plays On.
That was the first song I ever saw live.
Was it?
Birmingham NEC in 1996.
Oh, John.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Oh. But anyway, Winner Plays On. I took on Robbins, his special subject Queen. Mine was Gorky's Zygotic Monkey. Oh, a rare trouncing for Robbins. 3-2. So do you know what you're going to choose next week?
Yes, it's going to be the life and career of Ronnie O'Sullivan. The greatest sportsman since Muhammad Ali, in my opinion.
Okay.
And if I don't win, I'm going to bring in a snooker cue. He's playing in the final of the Welsh Open tonight, Elis, which you should like because it's in Wales.
Yeah.
And you win a piece of Welsh slate, which I think is disappointing.
Sounds like a Christmas present I got for my sister. And that is true.
Elis James and John Robbins podcast. XFM.
Now, we were just chatting there during that track. Elis, as you know, has been filming a top secret sitcom, but the cast are considerably younger than Elis, even though the person he's playing is, 12 years?
You're not allowed to... I'm going to get in trouble.
Really?
You give this stuff away.
I haven't signed a secrecy agreement.
No, but I wish you had.
So it's set in a nursery. Elis has had his hair cut specifically for it. But Elis was saying that he's sort of been reintroduced to youth language.
And it has really changed.
So give us some of the words you've been introduced to?
Young people say the word cool anymore.
Don't they?
And the director was my age, he was 33, and at the end of a take he'd say, cool, if you liked it. And they'd all go, cool. 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 And cool to them is like if my parents had said the word groovy at Sunday dinner.
Or radical.
Or cosmic. Oh, this beef is really cosmic. Nice one, ma'am. And it is so funny. So I say cool a lot. I hadn't realised how much I say it. But the language that youths use has really changed. I'm going to give you 4 words which I hadn't heard.
Shall I try and give the definitions?
Yeah, admittedly, I think I am probably... There are people my age who are much cooler than I am, and I think I'm probably letting my generation down a bit because I don't have a single app on my phone. That says all you need to know about me. However, John, you're my age. What does the word, when used by a young person, butters mean?
Butters.
Butters.
Could you use it in a sentence?
Yeah.
Because it's like a spelling bee. So can you give me a sentence?
Butters. Yeah.
That would give it away.
You'll give it away, yeah.
So butters.
It's not the plural of butter.
Right. Okay.
Which is what I thought. I was like, these guys are really into Lurpak.
So I would say if you did a really good scene, they would say, "God, man, Elis really butters those lines," as if it's sort of using something well. So like, if you had turned up on a skateboard and had done a gnarly kickflip, they'd have said, "Man, Elis, you butters them rails. Something chronic." Is that what it means?
Oh, I like your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles t-shirt, Al. That's really... No, well, butters means ugly, an ugly girl. That girl is really butters.
Oh.
Or boy, if it's a girl saying it about an ugly boy.
Really?
Butters,
So it's like rough. Is that from Butters from South Park?
You're asking the wrong person, mate. I've got no idea.
So hit me with the next one.
Hench.
Hench. Now, I think I know this. That means kind of stacked, kind of like really ripped, muscly dude.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm now tensing my biceps. So the opposite of that.
Yes, you're quite right.
He's well hench.
Yeah.
I seen that Elis James with his top off in the dressing room, and you wouldn't believe it to look at him because he looks like Fingermouse, but he's well hench in real. That's what you'd say.
That is true. When I take my top off, it does hide a body that is sort of misleadingly gorgeous, and I do look like Fingermouse, which John has been pointing out to me every day for the last 10 years. But let's move on. Butters, hench, swag.
Swag. Well, I'm going to go route one on that and say it's the money. So they'll be like, "Man, did you see Elis's contract? He's on enough swag for this this secret sitcom we're not allowed to know about. He's on so much swag, he's going to afford to buy some sweet new kicks that he's going to ride in on his rollerblades tomorrow with."
On his inline skates.
On his inline skates. Is that what it means?
No, I think, although I've now lost my bottle. I think swag means swagger and someone who's very sort of self-confident, but I'm now actually not sure because people kept using it in different contexts. But I do know that young people's... I certainly never said the word swag when I was 18.
There's a comedian who, I won't name, who's one of my favourite comics, who likes alcohol so much that he refers to the money he gets from gigs as drink. Because that's what immediately gets turned into.
Wow.
And he'll turn up and go, "Here, what's a drink for this?" Lovely, I love that phrase.
That is
he
good.
on good drink? And
That's
then,
quite good.
and if he feels he's not getting paid enough, he'll say, "Someone's having a drink, and it ain't me." So what's the fourth one? And then we'll play some more tunes. Bear.
Yeah.
Now that's one I have heard, and I think it's a bit like the other one. I've heard it used in different contexts. God, this sounds like a Radio 4 programme about the sort of modern idiolects. So tonight on Radio 4, we're talking about rap music. So bear, they would say things like, "Man, that Elis James has got bare chest." No, they would say he's got bare skills. I'm still not sure if that's helped me come... it would be like really good.
I think it means lots of.
Like enough.
So bare phone credit.
Elis has got enough. So like you would say enough credit on his phone. You say he's got bare credit on his phone.
Yes, I think so.
Where does that come from?
Oh, I don't, absolutely no idea. And also, if I was funny, they would say to me, "Your jokes."
Your jokes.
And I thought they were
and you'd be
saying-
like, "Yes."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "What about them?" And they go, no, your jokes. And I say, yeah, but which one are we? Well, they're more routines than jokes. And then it would be very awkward. It was incredible. They
So you have to ask them to punctuate by saying, "Do you mean your Y-O-U-R?"
Yeah.
Or your Y-O-U apostrophe R-E?
Yeah, and they asked me if I'd studied O-levels or GCSEs.
Well, because of your age. Did you do the 11 plus?
Well, it was that sort of thing. I was like, "No, mate, I did GCSEs in the 90s, which is fine."
FM. Elis James and John Robbins podcast.
Thank you for listening. That was the Elis and John podcast from XFM. Do continue to download it and also listen live, please.
Yeah, 10 till 1 on a Sunday, and it's great when people text in, so do keep texting and tweeting in during the show, and we do try to read out most of the things that aren't mean about us. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
If you like this podcast, why not check out some of the other great ones available to download at xfm.co.uk. XFM. The XFM Breakfast Show with John Holmes.
Very pleased to welcome, fresh from gigging, Liam Frey out of Cortinas. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How the devil are you?
Pretty good.
Got you a gift, by the way. It's Christmas, so I've got you a gift.
Really?
Yeah, you're going to like this. Because
Okay.
you're a fashionable gentleman.
Please.
I'm aware of that. We've got you this. We've clubbed together. It's a Christmas jumper.
That's really nice of you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's right. Would you like to describe it? It's
well, it looks warm. And I'll be wearing it
on stage
in private.
Music that rocks.